Okay then, welcome to Barrel Full of Daryl. My name is Daryl and I am your host. In this podcast, I selectively discuss music, movies, and provide you with a bit of mirth. For each episode, I select an artist or band that is personally significant to me, music that affects my mind, therefore my life. You may not be familiar with my selection, but my intent is to change that. As for the movies, they are more universal, and you may likely know them. There's mirth in here because I just can't help myself. So, in the words of Isaac Brock, here we go. Today I will discuss with you another music genre called the Bakersfield sound. Now, this gets into the realm of OG country, but please bear with me. I promise it won't hurt too much. Bakersfield sound is a subgenre of country music developed in the late 1950s in Bakersfield, California. At this time, the music coming out of Nashville was slickly produced and heavy with orchestration. The Bakersfield sound was born out of a reaction to this popish country sound. It drew from rock and roll and honky-tonk styles of music, with heavy use of electric instruments and backbeats. It became one of the most popular genres in the 1960s, reviving honky-tonk and influencing country rock and outlaw music a bit further down the road. So a fella named Win Stewart pioneered the Bakersfield sound, and Buck Owens and Merle Haggard became the two most successful artists of the Bakersfield era. Buck Owens led the band known as the Buckaroos, and Merle Haggard's band was the Strangers. The influencers for the Bakersfield sound were Jimmy Rogers, Lefty Frizzell, and Bob Wills. All of these artists are in my music rotation. Now, if you are old like me, you may remember the TV show Hee Haw, co-hosted by Buck Owens and Roy Clark. It was a variety show with a lot of hillbilly characters and a lot of silly but entertaining comedy. There were also always great guest bands. This was my first exposure to Buck Owens, and I had no idea at the time of his stardom. Now, his band, the Buckaroos, they feature fiddle, pedal steel guitar, twin Telecaster guitars, and a prominent drum track. Buck was the lead vocalist and often had two-part harmonies with his guitarist Don Rich. In total, the band recorded 39 studio albums, 9 live albums, 16 compilation albums, and 97 singles, with 20 of these hitting the charts at number 1. There's an album titled 21 Hits, The Ultimate Collection, and it contains all of these number 1 songs. So these guys were big and very influential. The Beatles even covered the song Act Naturally, with Ringo doing the lead vocals. Creedence Clearwater Revival mention Buck Owens and their song Looking Out My Back Door. The bands Uncle Tupelo, Wilco, Sunvolt, as well as numerous others surely were inspired by the Bakersfield sound. So let's chat a little bit about Merle Haggard. Merle was a troubled youth and got arrested many times as a teenager, and eventually he even spent some time in the San Quentin Penitentiary. After his release from prison, one night he was sitting backstage at a Lefty Frizzell concert and began to sing along. Lefty heard him singing from backstage and got him to come out onto the stage and sing with him. Merle was well received by the audience and decided to pursue a career in music. He gained popularity with his songs about the working class folks. In total, he had 38 #1 hits on the country charts over his career. His most popular songs were Mama Tried, The Legend of Bonnie and Clyde, Okie from Muskogee, and The Fight Inside of Me. Due to these kind of songs, he connected well with the common man, basically because he was one. As a teenager, I recall hearing his hits on the radio, but I didn't really realize the full depth of his music until I bought his 4-disc box set. Holy shit, it contains some of the most beautiful, heartfelt songs that I've ever heard. Songs like Silver Wings, The Farmer's Daughter. No, that's not a dirty joke. It's a beautiful ballad about a man giving up his daughter to a city boy. Now, Dwight Yoakam is another favorite of mine. He's also big into the Bakersfield sound. And this is what he had to say about Bakersfield. Bakersfield really is not limited to the town itself, but encompasses the larger California country sound of the 50s, 60s, and 70s. The music of Emmylou Harris, Graham Parsons, the Burrito Brothers were all a byproduct of it. I don't know if there would have been a John Fogerty and Creedence Clearwater Revival had there not been the Bakersfield sound. So let's not just shrug off the old guard country stars, because I believe that music today would be quite different without them. And I've also added a few songs to the Barrelful of Darrell playlist. And now, let's pause for a word from our sponsor. Well, howdy, y'all. This here Johnny Ray Bubba. Now, you've been hearing from my two sons, Billy Ray and Ricky Ray, and I'm really sorry you had to put up with that nonsense. Now, Billy Ray has the IQ of a pimple, and Ricky Ray has a lower IQ than a nose hair. God bless them, they try. At least they have a little bit of work ethic in them. And I've been listening to this podcast, and I've warmed up to it, except for the foul language. This thing deserves better sponsorship, and I'm going to try to help out. Tell you what, you come on down to my pawn shop, just down the street from the Piggly Wiggly in downtown Scratch Ankle, Alabama, and I'll whip you up a good deal on whatever I have on hand. Maybe something like a pocket watch or a nice little banjo for the missus. Anywho, this is Johnny Ray Bubba. Come on down and see me, and y'all have a nice day. Okay, welcome back. Let's move on to the movie. I would really be remiss if I did not discuss with you the movie Whiplash. If you've seen it, then you know what I mean. If not, you may want to watch it before listening to me talk about it. This film is a psychological drama set in a music conservatory in New York City. The two main roles are that of an ambitious music student aspiring to be a jazz drummer, Andrew Neiman, played by Miles Teller, and his abusive instructor, Terrence Fletcher, played by J.K. Simmons. Now, you may know the actor J.K. Simmons as the spokesperson for Farmers Insurance as well as other movies, but his role in this film is like no other. He is a perfectionist, he is verbally and physically abusive, and he's basically an asshole. Now, J.K. played this role very convincingly. He did great, and he won an Oscar for it, as well as BAFTA, Golden Globe, Critics' Choice, and Screen Actor Guild Awards. The film has been assessed as one of the best of all time. Now, Andrew, the drum student, is part of a lower-level ensemble at the start of the film. One day during practice, Fletcher walks in and the room just goes dead quiet. He asks them to continue playing and walks around listening. He tells Andrew to report to his room at 6 the next morning. By the way, Fletcher's ensemble is highly polished and they perform in competitions. At first, Fletcher appears supportive of Andrew, but during the first rehearsal, Andrew fails to keep tempo on the song Whiplash. Fletcher throws a chair at him, slaps his face, and cusses him out. Now, the tongue lashings that Fletcher gives are horrid and would make a Marine drill instructor blush and cry. But Andrew is determined to impress Fletcher, and he continues to practice at home excessively. There's a lot of bleeding fingers in this movie, by the way. A lot of sweat flying off of Andrew. So they go to a competition. And after the first set, the corps drummer, guy named Tanner, asks Andrew to hold on to his sheet music while he goes to the toilet. And Andrew sets it on a chair. And when Tanner returns, the sheet music is missing and can't be found. Now, Tanner cannot play without the sheets, but Andrew can, knowing Whiplash by memory. Fletcher promotes Andrew to corps drummer, and they continue the competition. However, after the competition and at the next rehearsal, Fletcher has brought in a third drummer from the lower ensemble and calls him the new corps drummer. At that point, Andrew becomes fanatical about regaining the corps position, foregoing his family, girlfriend, etc. Now, that day during rehearsal, Fletcher pushes the three drummers to play a faster and faster tempo on the song Caravan, leading to a grueling 5-hour practice session. Just imagine blood on all the fingers of the drummers and on the drum set. However, Andrew regains the corps position. So for the next competition, Andrew is taking a bus, but en route the bus has a flat tire. So Andrew, in a hurry, looks around and finds a rental car place, and he rents a car, and he goes on toward the theater. When he gets to the theater, he realizes that he had left his drumsticks at the rental office and goes back to get them. So he picks them up at the rental office, and on his way back to the theater, of course, he's hurrying, but his car gets hit by a large truck and overturns. Now, Andrew is badly injured, but he crawls out of the wrecked car, bloody and weak, and walks the rest of the way to the theater just as the ensemble is taking the stage. He struggles to maintain tempo, and Fletcher stops the performance and dismisses him from the band. Andrew attacks Fletcher on the stage and ultimately gets expelled from the school. At his father's request, Andrew meets with a lawyer who was representing a previous drum student under Fletcher who had hanged himself after suffering depression and anxiety resulting from Fletcher's abuse. Now, earlier in the movie, at one rehearsal, Fletcher had told his ensemble that this drummer had died in a car accident. Flat out lie. Reluctant at first, Andrew decides to testify anonymously against Fletcher, causing Fletcher to be expelled from the school. A month later, Andrew sees Fletcher playing piano at a jazz club. Sorry about that. They end up talking, and Fletcher admits that his methods are harsh but necessary to motivate the students, and tells Andrew to never let discouragement stop him. Fletcher then invites Andrew to perform with his professional band at a jazz festival, saying the songs are the same as he had previously played at school, and Andrew accepts his invitation. So at the festival, with all the players in place on the stage, Fletcher walks over to the drum set and tells Andrew he knows that he testified against him. Fletcher then walks back to the podium and starts a song that Andrew does not know, and Andrew is humiliated and walks off the stage. Andrew's father embraces him backstage, but Andrew decides to return to the stage. Before Fletcher can start a new song, Andrew takes over the drum set and cues the band to play Caravan, angering Fletcher. So they keep playing the song Caravan, and as it finishes, Andrew breaks into an improvised drum solo, and he just slays it. With Fletcher nodding in approval, Andrew then leads the band into the next song. By the way, Miles Teller is perfect and convincing in this role. He and J.K. Simmons rocked it. What a movie, and I'm tired just discussing it. It brings back a lot of memories. It explores the themes of perfectionism, dedication, and success, and the potential resulting damage. Now, even with these spoilers, please watch it if you haven't before. By the way, I have watched Whiplash several times, but my wife Lisa refuses to watch it again, due only to the mean and nasty nature of the antagonist Fletcher. He is really that bad. Okay, word of the day. Spurious. Spurious. I found 3 definitions for this word. First, outwardly similar or corresponding to something without having its genuine qualities. In other words, something that's false. Second definition, of falsified or erroneously attributed origin, meaning forged. And the third definition is someone born to parents not married to each other. It seems a little harsh. So that's a pretty good word. Try using it in your daily conversations. And now maybe we'll have a joke of the day. So the son says, "Dad, do trees poop?" The dad says, "Sure, son. That's how we get number 2 pencils." Yeah. Question of the day. First, we'll discuss the answer to the question, why do men have nipples? It turns out all vertebrate animals in the womb begin without a gender and with default parts, like arms, head, legs, and nipples are a pair of the default parts. Sex organs don't start developing until hormones appear later in development, typically at 6 or 7 weeks of pregnancy. So that's it. That's why we all have nipples. Here's a teaser. Not much, I guess it's a question, but more of a teaser. You are driving a bus. At the first stop, 7 people get on. At the second stop, 5 people get on and 3 get off. At the next stop, 8 people get on and 6 get off. What color are the bus driver's eyes? Well, we'll discuss that next podcast. If you haven't done so, please check out the Barrel Full of Darrell Spotify and Apple Music playlists that accompany this podcast. There are a few songs by all of the artists that I have discussed with you. I think you might enjoy it. You can contact me by clicking on the Send Me a Text button in the episodes, or directly at BFOD podcast@gmail.com. bfodpodcast@gmail.com. Well, thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.